What's going on, everyone? Austin John Plays here, and today I'm going to be going over the most optimized way for you to get shiny Pokemon in Pokemon Legends Arceus. This is a large community effort done by a lot of people to fully understand how the best way to ensure you get shiny Pokemon as fast as possible. Doing this method, you are going to guarantee that you are going to be seeing the shiny Pokemon that can spawn in a Mass Outbreak. If you don't care about the explanation at all, you're more than welcome to just fast forward to the chapter that just tells you the most effective way to do it. But I'm going to spend a good amount of time going over how the game generates Pokemon, so you may be more enlightened. In addition, while you're doing your hunt and you're feeling a little discouraged, you may want to come back and watch this part, because I think it's going to be a little entertaining, and I'm going to do the best in my ability to explain it. Great. First things first, this video is not made by just me. These are findings and testing done by a very, very large group of people. Shoutouts include the Pokemon RNG Discord, who have done an extensive amount of testing for the spawning methods. Papa Hefe, who's posted their findings. Groundwork and foundations laid by the PK Hex, the PKNX, and the Syspot.net teams. Atreus for helping with the scripting and fact-checking for this video, as well as some other people who have helped in smaller ways by testing and theory crafting this video in its infancy when I started it 5 days ago, including my streamer friend Majin Phil, Reversal, amongst others. So first, how Pokemon generate. Every single Pokemon in the game is generated using what's called a seed. A seed is a procedurally generated, infinitely long string of Pokemon. Every Pokemon on that seed is predetermined. Its stats, nature, height, weight, pretty much everything about that Pokemon other than its species and its shiny rate are going to be generated based on that seed alone. Now, every one step forward in that seed, it's what's referred to as an advance. If you're familiar with Pokemon Sword and Shield, it's kind of similar to how seeds are, but they vary a little bit. The advance is going to generate all of the information for the Pokemon that can spawn there. However, which Pokemon are going to spawn is based on a few things such as time of day, weather cycle, things like that. Now, when you show up to the Obsidian Fieldlands and you look to your right down the hill, we're going to be seeing some Bidoofs. That first Bidoof right there is advance number 1 of this seed. That Bidoof number there is advance number 2, and that Bidoof back there is advance number 3. Those 3 Bidoofs, soon as I entered the Fieldlands, have all their information determined. In fact, everything other than the fact that they were a Bidoof was predetermined. If I were to catch this Bidoof, he's now caught. I have now caught advance number 1, and you have number 2 and number 3 still over there. Now, if I go away and I sleep and I make a daytime again, not going to the night cycle, and I head back over to where those Bidoofs were, those 2 Bidoofs in the back are still Bidoof number 2 and Bidoof number 3. And what happened here is we have spawned in Bidoof number 4. Well, Bidoof based off of advance number 4. That also goes for scaring away the Pokemon. If I were to scare this Bidoof, he would then despawn. If I were to sleep and come back, I would have Bidoof number 5. Now, advance number 4 dictates all the stats about this Pokemon, but the fact that it's Bidoof comes down to actually the spawn table, which during the day is about 98% Bidoof and 1% Alpha Bidoof. So likewise, if I were to catch this one, and then if I were to catch those 2, instead of having Bidoof number 2, 3, and 4, we would have number 5, 6, and 7. You're following, right? It's also very important that when I say catch the Bidoof, I mean overworld catch, not initiate battle catch. And we're going to talk about that in a second here. Now it's nighttime, and these 3 Bidoofs are still here. Now, if these encounter tables were at all empty of these 3 spots, there's a chance we would get Drifloon showing up. However, these Pokemon are not going to despawn naturally. Pokemon like Starly, the 3 Starly that are down here, they would immediately fly away when it comes to night, and these Drifloon would show up. So these Drifloon, say for example there were 3 Starly there before, they despawn, and then we have these 2 Drifloon? 2 Drifloon show up. This is advance number 4 and number 5, because the first 3 Pokemon despawn naturally. If you saw my shiny swap video, that works because if you don't get close enough to see the Starly despawn, then these Drifloon are going to be pulling from the same advance. They're going to have the exact same stats, shiny status, so on and so forth, But the species is going to change because we never saw the Starly despawn. Instead, the game just kept that it's the same advance and it never went away. So when you reload during a different time of day, it's just going to apply the nocturnal Pokemon to that advance. Now, if we were to battle these Bidoofs, some weird stuff happens. Everything that we've talked about so far is just going to move the advance forward by 1. So if we go ahead and we knock out one Pokemon, there's a very good chance that what's going to happen is it's going to be spawning in the subsequent Pokemon. As in the back, we still have number 2 and number 3, and this one that was number 4, it's now going to be spawning in number 5 most of the time. But if you get into any sort of multi-battle, it becomes significantly more complicated. In addition, you start skipping advances. If I were to battle 2 of them and knock them both out or catch them both, then instead of spawning in number 6 and 7, it might spawn in number 9 and 12. It does some strange things, and exactly how it works is pretty complicated. So just the takeaway from all of this is that if you battle multiple Pokemon at the same time and knocking them out or defeating them, when the game tries to spawn in more than one Pokemon at once, it will skip advances. Now let's talk about shiny odds. The game takes all of your shiny criteria into effect, having the charm, research level, perfected page, things like that, and it applies it to every single seed. Meaning that if you start off your hunt and your research level is 9 for Bidoof, it's going to apply the full odds of 1 out of 4,096 to that seed. But if during the hunt, by going through and sleeping and allowing them to respawn in, if you were to get your research level up to 10 and continue the hunt, the system will then dynamically change which advances are going to be the shiny ones. You might start with 1 out of 4,000 odds, number 2,900 is going to be the shiny, and then you get your research level up, and then it's going to dynamically change to the 600th and 19th frame. The takeaway from this is that the Pokemon that's going to be shiny is dynamically chosen. It's not predetermined like it was in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now, everything that I've spoken on so far refers to one single seed, and the only thing that can change the seed is you reseeding, or rezoning, or going back to Jubilife and coming back to the same area. When you come back to the same area and reload the map then regenerates every single seed for every single Pokemon on the entire map. And when you come across one of those full odd shiny Pokemon, that means that the seed that was just changed has the first advance of it being shiny. So just like that, boom, you're good to go. This is how every single Pokemon spawning algorithm works in the entire game, with the exception of Mass Outbreaks. Mass Outbreaks kind of take that single table and make it a 3-dimensional table. At this exact point in time, when this outbreak first begins, it's going to then determine its seed and immediately calculate exactly when your shiny Pokemon is going to show up. So from this first time you seeing it, the game knows how many times you need to go to camp, save, come back to town, go back to camp, save, in order for you to find your shiny Pokemon. Every time that the game is going to be generating the seed, it's then going to be seeing the advances. Because we're doing a mass outbreak, every advance has a subsection. And the first 4 Pokemon are predetermined, and then the following Pokemon are predetermined. How many Pokemon spawn in an outbreak is predetermined by the seed as soon as it shows up on the map. That means that the game may have decided that I'm going to find a total of 10 Golduck, or as many as 15 Golduck, or anywhere in between those two numbers. You may have the 3rd Pokemon that can spawn in after the initial 4 be shiny. In which case, your number 1 objective is to go to that Pokemon. And as I explained before with how the spawning algorithm works with knocking out versus catching the Pokemon, if I were to go and just haphazardly start battling and knocking out Pokemon, it's going to start pulling random numbers, not consecutive numbers. If I were to go and catch all 4 of these Golduck using whatever means of Pokeballs in the overworld, sticky globs, things like that, I'm ensuring that after Pokemon number 1, 2, 3, and 4, I'm then seeing number 5, 6, 7, and 8. likewise all the way until the end. So if you were to go through this group of Pokemon until the point that no additional new ones are spawning, that means that there's a total of 3, make sure one didn't run off to the side, or just catch another one and then you realize no more is spawning from the original spawn origin circle point, then it's safe to turn the game off and turn it back on. If you've caught every Pokemon without initiating battle, you've ensured that you have seen every single one of the sub-advances of that advance of that seed. So just to help visualize exactly what's going on here, if we were to look at this chart, which is a very arbitrary representation of what's going on, but it follows the theories and principles that we've been discussing. If you were to catch or scare away one Pokemon at a time, you'd be going through and you'd be seeing all of them. You see the initial 4, and then you see all of the respawns until the point that no other Pokemon are respawning. Therefore, you are now seeing all of the Pokemon on a single hunt. However, if you start battling the Pokemon, especially in multi-battles, you get the very mixed results. That you have the first 4 Pokemon, but after you battle them all, it's going to draw 4 random Pokemon. Whether they're going to be next to each other, or spread out like that, or whatever else. It could have been E1. You could have had it as your first respawn of your first group, and you just missed it by doing a battle. Likewise, if you're going to be doing this again, your second time that you go in, you are going to be experiencing 2 A, B, C, and D. That means that these ones right here, you're going to be experiencing brand new. In addition, this one you've already seen, but you're going to see the exact same Pokemon again. So therefore, now you're being redundant. Now, if we were to pick 1, 2, 3, 4 random places of random Pokemon they're going to be spawning in afterwards, you see how it's even less consistent. Heck, even if it just skips 2 and then goes 2, skips 2 and then goes 2, you're still skipping them and you're never seeing those Pokemon. The more you do this, the more you're just compounding your chances of seeing the exact same Pokemon more than once and skipping over Pokemon that could have contained a shiny. So while yes, I am picking extremely arbitrary examples here, this is kind of helping you visualize what's going on here. That if your shiny was the 4th respawn and it was the G Pokemon, you could see right here, you didn't get it. Meanwhile, if you just go and you catch every single Pokemon one at a time, you're guaranteed to get it. If you knock out one single Pokemon every single time by going and ensuring a back shot, especially against aggressive Pokemon, you are going to be going one by one and ensuring a shiny Pokemon. But if you go into any multi-battles at all, which is very possible for more aggressive groups, you can have adverse effects, as you see right here. So, to ensure, for the simplest explanation, for you to make sure that you're always going to get your shiny Pokemon, don't throw out Pokemon ever. Don't throw them out. Just catch them. Because you might be in a multi-battle, you might not be paying attention, you might misclick, things can happen. But if you never go in there with that mentality, if you just take away that all you need to do is just catch the Pokemon, you're not going to mess up. It's as simple as that. The absolute worst part of this is that if by chance during your second run with doing multi-battles, you got 4F as being your shiny and you failed it, well then you're going to reload from camp, as you should be, because you should not be saving in front of the shiny because there's a chance the outbreak can fail. You have to replicate the exact same steps, the exact same quantity of Pokemon being knocked out in the exact same amount of multi-battles. If you do a 1v2 and you knock out 2 Pokemon, you get different results than if you do a 1v1 and a 1v1. If you do a 1v3, you get different results from a 1v2 and a 1v1. If you do a 1v4, you get different results from a 1 and 3 or a 2 and 2. There are very different results every single time. You would need to replicate your steps completely. Yesterday, there was a video that came out by another YouTuber who went over a method that involved knocking out 5 Pokemon. And by the charts that I have gone over and I have explained to you guys, you can clearly see why knocking out 5 Pokemon is an extremely not optimal way to find a shiny Pokemon, because you're not seeing every possible Pokemon that can spawn. Without the use of a custom firmware switch and hacking tools, it's impossible for a regular person to know how far you need to go in which advance down to see the actual shiny Pokemon. So therefore, your best bet to guarantee your shiny is going to be just going through and catching in the overworld. using those sticky globs, using Ultra Balls and Jet Balls, the best of your ability, never entering that battle screen, and just doing work, son. Just doing work. Before I was armed with the knowledge of knowing exactly how this works and the insight to know that I should never even enter the battle screen with that Pokemon or any nearby Pokemon. Instead, I should only be catching the Pokemon in an outbreak. Now that I've done it this way, last night I was able to ensure so many shiny Pokemon in a very short period of time. Because I know that as soon as that shiny Pokemon can spawn, I'm guaranteed to see it. Including my third advance for Turtwig, which I just went in there and just did work, machine gun style, got all of them from the back. My fourth advance for Shiny Togepi, which if I scare them all away, that functions exactly the same as catching them in the overworld. I'm ensuring that I'm going through the advance properly and seeing all the Pokemon that can be there. A seventh advance for a Gastrodon, and it was actually one of the first Pokemon that spawned in, so I was able to ride over on Braviary and just fall out of the sky onto Basculege, get it from the back, and then get out of there. My first advance going for Ambipom, and it was one of the initial four, which made my life so much easier. And lastly was a Zubat, that it was not one of the Pokemon that was there at the initial spawn, instead it was one of the subsequent Pokemon, and I caught it no problem. So now, whether you watched the first part of this video or you just skipped right here, I'm still going to be going over the most effective way for you to shiny hunt Pokemon in Mass Outbreaks. When going out for a hunt, doing only overworld catches, because that's what you should be doing. I'm going to stock up on Ultra Balls. I like to have at least 50 of them. I'm going to make sure that I have some smoke bombs, some sticky globs, and some stealth sprays. When you're at camp, you want to put down a save. From here, we're going to be going to the outbreak, and I've even tried a method of not choosing the closest camp, but instead one that's a little bit further away, because the more Pokemon that I come across between here and there, and also going past that Tangrowth, I do have that random chance at a flawed shiny, which I got a shiny Yanma on my way to my Turtwig outbreak, and that was pretty cool. And here we have the Hippopotas outbreak. Now I know these Pokemon aren't going to battle me, instead they're just going to flee to the corners, so I'm not really too worried. And it was not one of the first four Pokemon shiny, so I'm not going to put down a save if I do encounter a shiny going forward. Because these Pokemon are not really ever going to aggro me, I'm pretty safe by just staying in this pond and throwing my balls. And as you can see, I have no more Hippopotas spawning in. So I'm going to turn the game off and turn it back on. Now we're back at camp. From the save, we're going to speak to the professor, and we're going to get out of here. Let's head back to the map. Hippopotas is still here. Let's go to it. Back at the camp. Going to put down another save. This is important because it's this save going forward that's going to be moving our advance forward, so we know for a fact that we are seeing different Pokemon. I made it daytime because it's prettier. In addition, if you do come across anything along the way, whether it be a shiny or an alpha or whatever else, I do recommend not getting into a battle. At this time, it's unknown if getting into a battle with nearby Pokemon actually does have an effect on the additional Pokemon that spawn in an outbreak, but since it's easily avoidable, I am going to recommend to just not encounter any Pokemon in a battle on your way. Look, we found an alpha. We've gone through to the point that no other additional Pokemon are spawning. We turn the game off, turn it back on. This is similar to everything that we've spoken about. Myself, Billy Beats You, A-Drive, everyone who's covered the similar shiny method to mine, this is always what we've recommended since launch day. The biggest takeaway from this entire difference between this video and the ones that we've published previously is that you should not do any battle encounters with any of the Pokemon. Instead, you should just we have the alpha as one of the initial four. That's neat. The biggest takeaway is that you should just do the encounters. You should not be battling Pokemon. Instead, just catching them in the overworld. Best way to ensure that you're seeing every possible spawn. I'm currently on advance number 14, and it's times like this that you definitely can be in a space that your first natural shiny is going to be 14, 30, 40 different advances away. And there's no way to know that except for just going through naturally and finding it. But by doing this, catching one single Pokemon at a time and not entering a battle or a multi-battle, you're going to guarantee that your shiny Pokemon is going to show up, just like this Hippopotas right here. And it's going to be discouraging, because sometimes you may need to go 30, 40, 50 advances if you just have the worst RNG luck ever. And by having the worst RNG luck, there's no way to know exactly when it's going to show up. So, the only way to ensure that it's going to be there is by catching the Pokemon. Now you saw, I had a shiny show up, right? You do not want to save when the shiny shows up. There is a chance that your Mass Outbreak will despawn soon as you load the game. You should always just reload from the camp. It's going to be a little bit more work. You're going to have to go through, you know, the first whatever it might be. It might be a full 10 to 11 that you need to go through for it to show up, like I do right now. But it's always going to be there. But again, going through, I'm ensuring that I'm seeing the exact same Pokemon, and I can ensure that I'm going to see this Hippopotas. Now, just in case you were curious, what happens if you start battling them? Well, if you start battling all these Hippopotas, whether in groups of 1v1, you could get mixed results, and in multi-battles, there's a chance that you're not going to be getting the Pokemon to show up at all. So if I were to go through and decide to knock out 5 Hippopotas, after knocking out my 5th Pokemon, I'm still not seeing the shiny. If I were to continue to enter battles with these Pokemon, there is a slim chance that it will show up, but on more aggressive Pokemon, it's almost near impossible to ensure that you're always going to have 1v1 battles without backshotting all the Pokemon in the first place. So at that point, now you're just making double work for yourself, because you have to be stealthy enough to get that backshot. That one just ran away. If you were to go through and knock out one Pokemon every single time in a Mass Outbreak, then yes, there is a chance that your shiny will still spawn. It may be after the 5th, as mine was still near the end, because if I were to only do 5, I would then see the 4 initial spawns, 1 respawn, and then what would be left would be the 4 additional respawns, so only the first 9 of my chain of, what is it, 12 or 15? This is a big chain right here. I would have totally missed this shiny if I only knocked out 5 Pokemon. While there are mixed results on how to get yourself a shiny Pokemon via other methods, bottom line is the most important takeaway from this entire video. Well, 2 things. 1, always catch them. Don't knock them out. When you knock them out, there are unpredictable results and you cannot ensure yourself a shiny. If you catch every single Pokemon without entering the battle screen, you are ensuring seeing every single Pokemon of the advance, and therefore, you are guaranteed to get yourself a shiny. And 2, if it's not one of the first 4, don't save in front of a shiny. Guys, I hope you found this video on an optimized shiny hunt, in addition to how the spawning algorithm works for Pokemon Legends Arceus. If you found it helpful, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button down below. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications. Until next time, Austin John out.